Hey, my name is Andrew Spigner. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I have been in ministries for a while now, since 2017. I had been working at a church called Shades Mountain Community Church in Birmingham. I was on staff there for a while.
My name is Kyle Jones. I'm originally from Texas. Before I became a West student, I was serving in parachurch ministry for 5 years.
My name is Carrie Verberg, and I'm a West alumni. I came to the West Institute after doing my undergraduate at the University of Wyoming, and now I work for the University of Wyoming, so I stuck around Laramie.
So I'm Joshua Payne. The very day that I needed to make a decision to come to the West or not come, I had my dream job offer dropped like 2 hours before I was supposed to contact you.
My name is Sydney Payne, and I first heard about the West through a Facebook post actually from a friend of mine in college. He went right after we got out of college and did the program. But I was actually going into the military. I was commissioning for 5 years at least. And so it was just something that had been in the back of my mind.
My name is Warner Richardson, and I'm married to Grace. When we first heard about the West, we were in Winfield, Kansas. I was doing construction work, and we were involved in a church there, and we heard about it from a former student. We really had a desire to come. They kept pushing at us. I had a pretty low view of seminary, but they kept pushing us, saying it'd be a wonderful year. You'd learn so much. You guys would love the church there. You'd grow, and so they kept pushing at us, and we came and visited, and really had a desire to come, but there were a lot of different obstacles in the way. There were a lot of hurdles. There was again the fact that we had 2 kids. We actually delayed coming a year because we had another one on the way, and because of things falling apart with our church as well. And finances were a serious hurdle for us. And there were also some other questions as well, just questions of whether we were being responsible, to leave to leave family, to leave what community we had, relationships we had, people we were pouring into, relationships we had that we felt a lot of responsibility in, and leave that for a year, come all the way out to Wyoming and spend time in school, and whether that was responsible, whether it was worthwhile, whether we should actually do that.
I would say though, for me, the most challenging part was definitely moving to a place that I didn't know anybody at, truly. The most amount of contact I had with anyone here was Jeremy, and it was a handful of conversations over the phone.
I felt like it was a different direction than what I was headed. Like, a lot of people were like, "What? You're gonna be a pastor?" Or they're like, "Why are you going that way? You just got done with engineering." So there was that, and a lot of people were like, "Well, you're going to lose that experience. You aren't going to get your dream job as an engineer."
I was coming out, I had access to a ton of different veterans programs, and I felt like I was kind of being set up for a career in IT, and I had the clearance to go with it. And so all those things were kind of drawing me away from taking a year off, I guess, and going to get a degree that I wasn't sure how that would necessarily play into a career.
I really questioned if it was something that I could do. I had seen people who wanted to go into vocational ministry or become pastors go through the program beforehand, but up until the year before I did it, I hadn't seen a close friend do it.
I had a house that I was living in. I had ministry that I had to leave behind. I had my newlywed wife with me. Hey, let's move across the country. That's not an easy thing to sell.
And we came up here, we moved up here a couple of months early before the training started. We thought at the time, finances were kind of tight. I had a job lined up. Our thought was we thought we had about a third of the cost, maybe as much as half of the cost of the training set aside, and that I'd be able to work and cover the rest. And about 3 weeks before the training started, before the year started, we found out that money we thought was there was not. None of it was there. And we had $500, I think, in our bank account at that point. I was working a job that was a good job, but it wasn't going to pay the way through the West Institute, not working as much as I was able to during the West Institute. But I remember being encouraged to consider, what has the Lord done to lead you here? And so, if He's led you to this point, if He's placed a desire in your heart to do it, if He's provided up to this point, well then trust Him to continue to provide. And so we did. We were very uncomfortable with that, but we did. We went into the year trusting that if He wanted us to do it, He was going to have to provide the finances. We could see His leading up to that point. We could see Him bringing us along step by step, all the way up until that moment. And so if He could provide up to that moment, then He could provide for the next moment.
To just jump into a community that is so tight-knit and truly just wants to serve the Lord in any way possible was really what I needed, but just it was intimidating to think about how tight-knit and how close everybody in the church was and how I was going to fit into that. And ultimately I was accepted almost right off the bat. Like, I am comfortable with conversations with people now, and while that has been challenging to me in the past to initiate conversations and relationship and everything like that, it's been a really fruitful experience to go forward and make myself a little uncomfortable and just get to know people more. And
I knew a lot of, I guess, things, but the heart study was truly something that went after a deeper than just believing certain areas of, like, I know God does this and He's all powerful and all knowing, but do I actually know that by the way I act in the day-to-day life?
When the whole world shut down, it was like a big sign to me from the Lord to say, like, you need to rethink what you're doing here, and this is a perfect time and opportunity. And then I realized, the GI Bill actually covers this program. And so I had access to some funds that I didn't necessarily know about beforehand, didn't know they could pay for a seminary program. And once I learned that, it just seemed like green lights all the way, and this is where the Lord was leading me.
And then when I saw my close friend do it, I thought I could do it as well. But it did seem like an intimidating program with lots of rigorous studying involved. So that was part of my hesitation, just questioning if I could do it academically.
I was really nervous about what it would look like to drop my life and just put everything to the side, because here I am. I'm married, newlywed, just married within a year of that time, and just started my job, started a new position at the church. And here I am thinking about, what does it look like to go to seminary? And it was a hard decision in a big way, because I had so many things that were going for me. I had, at the church, I could have continued in ministry. I could have learned from guys over an extended period of time, but at the same time I knew that I was doing a disservice to the people that I was ministering to. I was not qualified. I was not teaching well, not the way that I should have been teaching or been learning the way I should have been learning. And so ultimately it really just came down to, I'm doing a disservice to my church by not being qualified, not being in a spot where I feel like I know the Word.
Looking back at, the questions about finances, the questions about, do I really need this, and that pride, the questions about, is seminary a place to go to die? The questions about, is this a waste of a year? Is this a realistic thing for me to do with 3 kids? Is this a realistic thing to do while providing a family? Looking at all those questions and seeing the faithfulness of God in providing for us, in teaching us, in bringing along exactly what we needed and the people that we needed to pour into us. I would say that year in the West Institute was a continual testimony of God's faithfulness and goodness to us. And I'm so thankful for that time and for the way He used it to grow us and to prepare us for what He had in the future for us.
I think at times it's easy to get in a rut as a Christian and just do the same kind of thing. So I think the West really shook that up and really challenged me in a lot of ways of like, why am I believing what I believe? Why do I say that God is good and yet my actions don't follow that? And so I think in those ways, the West really blessed me in that. I think blessed me with more tools to feel the strength to bring the authority that Scripture truly does have, and to feel like I'm accurately representing the Scriptures. So I think those two things, it was great to build friendships and to see what discipleship looks like, and to hopefully replicate that, or continuously replicate that here and wherever the Lord takes us.
Sure, so the West definitely changed the trajectory of my life. I was very much career-oriented. I was focused on making money and being successful by the world's standards. And coming here really challenged a lot of that. And I started to see what was more important was how was I growing in my walk with the Lord, and how was I using that to impact other people's lives. And so I walked away from here really wanting to use what I'd learned to help teach other women, to help raise up children someday who are walking with the Lord and who are strong in their faith and in the church. And so a lot of those other things that I used to think were important kind of just evaporated, and now I'm much more content, and I don't really seek my value and my worth in those things.
Not only am I going to be able to learn academically, but also to be able to apply that to my life. So there's one thing of learning knowledge, but then there's also the other side of the wisdom side of applying that knowledge to life. And that's where the West excels in a big way. And I can't tell you how much it has impacted my ministry now going back. As now I've stepped in a new role. I'm the high school pastor at our church. I'm also our young adults minister at our church for college-age kids. And I can't tell you how much I have used my training here at the West, there, back at Shades Mountain Community Church. It has been such a benefit to myself, but it's also been a benefit to those that are around me.
I had never heard of any sort of program that dedicates so much time into its students, specifically the staff. I've never been able to find any sort of place where you have people that just get so invested into your life and into specifically the sinful parts of your life. There's a lot about heart study that is convicting, that is heavy at times, in terms of just understanding your sinfulness and your brokenness. But the beauty of that is you turn around and you understand on such a deeper level the need for Christ. Just what a beautiful, beautiful thing that is, honestly, to want to take your faith to the next level and look at all these challenges in your life. And ultimately, it circles back to the beginning. It circles back to the whole reason we came to know Christ in the first place, and it's because of His love for us and because of what He has chosen to do on our behalf.
To anyone considering doing the West Institute, I would encourage you to do it if the Lord provides the time and the finances. It's the best decision that I've made to grow in my relationship with the Lord. Coming into the West Institute, I wasn't entirely sure how the Lord would provide in a lot of areas, but He did, and He grew me so much through it, and I would encourage anyone with the opportunity to do it, to take the plunge and do it.